another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Hello, people of the internet. This is Normal69 from the depths. So, we had a little co-op building a few days ago with Darcownova and friends, and I will link in the description the ship we are made. Each of us had 1 hour to make a different component: engine, frontal gun, backwards gun, etc., hull, like that. And oh, I can fit out here. And we made the ship parts, and Darcownova's made the parts fit together. And I did it a little differently, so I just want to show you around on the ship. This is the pimped out control cockpit, the outer, the non-safe, although I found a safer way to solve the problem. You know, when you just want to put on glass and the glass is shut and you are dead, so you can solve it this way with blocks placed differently, and you can see out here. So we have here a little two-chaired control cockpit, one with a weapon controller and the other with a complex controller. We have a teleport pod. I like the teleport pods a lot. A respawn beacon, a little hump just because, and indicator lamps behind them, an ACB which shows you if there are no enemies around, enemies are in range. Fuel engine is activated because, as you can see on the bottom right corner, it won't work if it's not needed. Power is low, and oh, I'm just shaking. Fuel is low, ammo is low, abandon ship because it's too damaged, and structure is intact. So behind these neon fittings there are ACBs, and in the middle there is an ACB which repeatedly sets them to off. Alright, let's just walk around from a first person perspective. We have two doors here, down here, if I can go down, yes. And this is the frontal gun by Matty. It has really evil shells inside it, which are double squash and shape charged with an inertial fuse, and it's perfectly safe because an emergency ejection defuse will defuse them. And it also has super cavitation with a 3-meter mantlet, so it can shoot underwater, sorry. I have installed in the nose a large missile which has EMP damage because of the free internal space, set to EMP, fragments, and high explosive. Of course, it only fires when the enemy is bigger than 5,000 blocks and farther than 1 kilometer. So no missile gets wasted because it's a high trajectory one. Up here we have a really big gun, a direct feed one, with 10 barrels, and it has I don't think it's so evil, shell which travels above half a kilometer per second because of the lot of gunpowder in here. Also super cavitation. It's stabilized, has EMP, frag, high explosive, Behind the shape, charge and simple high explosive. Behind the composite head you can see the data here. Alright, these are the big guns. Now I just go here. These are the surface lamps. These fire at any altitude, at any projectile, but it's limited to 250 meters and has a little laser system inside with three things which makes it staggered. I don't know the exact name. These are the two flag guns in the middle of the ship, which are firing at the enemies when they can't fire at missiles or torpedoes. The lamp nodes are, no, the shields are inside these strange looking projections, and at the back side we have a little cafe shop with pools and chairs and batteries to enjoy the battle. Really is the most dangerous place to be in battle, so I wouldn't advise you to spend your time here while in combat. And those are just two simple blobs of ammo with an AI with some material containers and repair tentacles, because if I go into the air side and show you them, they are on resource group 1 as my ship, and they are set to hog all the material they can and give all the ammo they could. So all this 44,000 ammo goes stuffed into my ship, and all the material, only 2,000, gets in there. I will show you later why, but essentially, as you can know, drones which are on dock holders couldn't repair the mothership. But as you can see, in every 5 seconds they get released for 1 second, and for that time they could repair the main body. Alright, let's see the backside gun, if I can go down here. Alright, fine. This is a 3-barreled railgun which doesn't consume a lot of energy, because Bricc's settings you write his name with 2 C's, and it fires my shells. I changed it. AP capped head, graviton ram, gunpowder, solid warhead body and a smoke warhead, so they are just covering enemies with smoke. And the graviton ram is set to the minimal factor of strength but the maximum factor of torque. So most of the enemy ships and planes are rolling over when they get fired upon. These are making the ship more stable, these side pontoons. And we have, at last they are working, some missile interceptors here, as you can see. And if I can jump up here and see, we have some EMP explosive missiles around here, just for fancies for the enemy. So on the sides we have these lamps which could fire at everything, but of course they are limited because of these pontoons, which are supposed to keep the ship more stable of the recoil of that big gun up there. And if we go down here by my little avatar, are just armored up all the radars and propellers here and here, of course, and turning props too, and it can go by itself without activating the fuel engine inside. I need to armor those up too. And we have little surprises down here, of course, as a cheap particle cannons which goes by EMP, fires only every 10 seconds, but it's really accurate because it's a two-way turret on these light blocks, and has a lot of EMP damage to caress the enemy ship's bottoms with it. And of course above it there are some anti-torpedoes. The same configuration could be found here at the nose of the ship, and if I could target, but I couldn't because my little avatar keep raising itself. Good. We have really simple torpedo propellers here and passive sonars because you need them to hunt torpedoes. At the back of the ship and the front of the ship we have two additional LAM nodes underwater, because firing lasers underwater, they are just firing on underwater targets to complement those on the sides who couldn't fire through the sides of these pontons. Here we have 4 simple laser turrets which have on two-way turrets and have both these. Oh, it's a fail-safe. No, please. So these have local weapon controllers at priority 10. And if I can target it right, at 11 priority anti-missile cannon controllers, and they are really accurate to take down torpedoes and missiles, and in their free time they are shooting the enemies, for example little annoying flyers, just like the flying squirrel. I also need to point out a new setting in the failsafe when you can set them to not hold fire but switch targets, and you also mind this margin in case of bigger shells which are fired out. Alright, on the inside, because it seemed to be a safer place, we have just 2 and 2, so together 4 torpedoes. They are nasty EMP ones with magnets which are activating, hopefully only after they are far away from my ship, because they have the nasty habit to return from 200 meters as they set up. And I think that's all the weapon systems. We have some inverted boat radars here, and of course other nastiness inside, but you can check them up if you download the blueprint from somewhere. I will decide from where. And that is the ship. And of course, if we can go back to the cockpit on the front, and yes we can, why couldn't we? No, no please, no. Really strange how the blocks behave these times. No, 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 okay. I almost did it again. So we have this teleport pod by which you can go to the inner cockpit, where you most importantly won't be shut down from the ship and spend your precious time to respawn and fall down the skies we have some batteries here, and the other components I already mentioned. For example, this huge cannon at the back, the railgun. Okay. So I just sit down here. And of course, my builds aren't really built according to the unspoken agreements of fair combat, if I must say so. So let's see what components we have inside the ship. Okay. Just before me is Matty's really huge gun, the evil one. Right before that gun, there are some propellers which make the ship faster, and some more propellers on the nose which can help it turn, as you can see some. I installed here some daddy blades here, but I couldn't really force more speed out of this craft. And here is the big missile. Let's go more to the back in the bottom. I must say that Darcownova builds really good engines, and this engine is only a small percentage. I don't say better because it consumes more fuel than his and crowns out just a little bit more power when it's needed. And back here we have the LAMPS laser system with this amount of damage and only 3 Q switches, that was the name, for each coupler. And of course the manly things are inside the back, the big and hard RTGs, which I don't have so much here, just to give the ship the ability to move and use its shields without the help of that engine, so we don't have so much fuel storage back here. And some more RTGs. Why? Oh, and the good thing, my voice is coming back. Above them, on the inside, if I go a little bit forward here, we have the AI with a lot of spare processing power, yet it won't be, or they will be used up. And the best path I could come up for this unit is begin the broadsiding of 50 degrees, really far away, but keep going close to the enemy if it can. This gave it the most weapon firing ability at the same time. We have a target prioritization card. I doubled the block size, so it will be firing at the biggest units. Remember that setting on the fail safes. They are not holding fire but just switching targets. I zeroed all the speed and altitude preference, only using the range one. And of course, as I always, I prefer to shoot at ships which the player is on. Good. And it's a self-contained repair unit with some material holders, and just like that. I don't have aim point selection card because I like to shoot the enemy at the same place and saw it half. We have some colored ACBs here which are used. These are not free, These are controlling the frontal spin blocks by giving out commands. So if propulsion reverse is given by the AI, please simulate pressing G. And if forward command is given out by the AI, please simulate pressing T. And on the spin blocks at the front, T and G are set up to accept these commands. So they will turn forward if the ship wants to go forward, and backwards if it wants to go back. That's the fun of it. The other colored ACBs doing their work too. Simple: if there is no enemy, set all shields. No, if there is an enemy, sorry, set all shields to reflect. And if there's no enemy, then please set all shields to none. We have 18 shields in the ship. Other 3 controlling the engine. So if the battery has more charge than 90%, almost full, please set the engine maximum RPM to 0, effectively stopping the engine. Also, if the batteries have charge less than 80%, please switch on the engine to 100%, and you need one more ACB block for this, because if you set the RPM, the maximum RPM to 0, it also says the battery charging to 0. So I just did here with a little delay setting the battery charge to 100% too, if the batteries are less than 80%. So the engine's activating only when power is needed, more power is needed, conserving fuel this way. And here I usually put a wireless snooper, just because I simply can auto-adjust from one place all the detection systems. I always have an inter-vehicle transmitter. This should help you to add up all the units in the combat together, the detection data, and of course a wireless transmitter to control the various parts of the ship. Alright, let's see the detection. As you could see, we had some detection, for example in the back turret here, just to simulate the usual way of detecting things. So we have a 9-meter armored coincidence rangefinder here, and some other detection sprinkled around the ship. But the main detection is here, just behind the frontal cockpit. We have here a little spin-blocked detection system with a connected weapon controller. We have here the munition warners to every direction. I hope so. Maybe not. Forward. Okay, we have them for all the sides, but we don't have it upwards. And now I see that that was the problem. In reality, they should work to 180 degrees, so I think they should detect upwards too, but if they aren't, please tell me. I would be grateful then. And I think those were the systems on these ships, and of course only putting together was my work, and even that wasn't fully my work. I just slept on my usual things, like here. Sorry, I just activate the head torch here for you to see. So this is a torpedo launcher. We have here a little confusion method. Just the sonar buoy, ballast tanks set to sink, fuel tank and the torpedo propeller. My ship periodically shoots this if an enemy present, and they just go all over the place confusing enemy torpedoes, because ships are most sensitive for torpedoes. We have here a little system, just a little unmoving one-axis turret, connected with a passive and an active sonar, if those were blown off on the bottom. And we have here the ball holders. As you can see, it keeps one of the left one here, just for spawning it in. And this is the holder which keeps the left one. And as you can see, it periodically switches on and off by these two automated control block on the top of it. They are just simple things, docking stations, release in every 5 seconds. One block is controlled. I could make them central commanded, but no. And we have a recalling one, which almost the same. I just copied it over, but it has a 1 second delay. It goes haywire when you are building it, but if you just despawn your ship and respawn it into, then they become synchronized. So there isn't a big hurdle about them. And this little thing, the OI processor, is disabled. I just put it in here for experimental purposes, and it's really funny because it's disabled, but as you can see, somehow the fuel is going up. I don't know why, really. Sorry. So this is the ship. Oh no, I don't want to activate it. It goes faster that way. I don't think it's so cheaty, because it really makes a really bad conversion from 10 materials, 100 fuel. But it was easier to check it. And of course, with F5, as you can see the messages, I always set my avatar to don't give the ships or the units which it's on any more material. So these material are just collected. You need to keep an eye on that when you are trying out your units for combat.